Whoop whoop. What is up, y'all? It's your boy Seth Moon here, aka Cali Green Too Fresh. I have a very special guest in the hot today. We got the one and only Shovel of Precious Juggalos. What's up, Shovel?
Oh, just another wonderful Wednesday evening. Happy to be here with you.
Hell yeah. I just realized I never changed the background. So it's still Sunday stream
Yes,
background. Let's
I
make
am
this
not
more
Fred
formal.
Durst, just to be clear.
There we go.
I did do it all for the Nookie, but it was a different Nookie, not Fred's Nookie.
So let's go ahead and start. For everyone out there watching, real quick, shout out to the chat. We got let's see, who is this? Butch, I cannot say that. Butch Chugger Jug. Yeah, I got it. Butt Chugger Jug. There.
Butt Chugger.
We got the Butt Chugger. We got Bizarre 1.7. We've got, I know I saw Swills. There we are. Swills was first. Shout out to y'all. We got Wicked Texan 1998. Whoop whoop.
Don Chaos.
Don Chaos. What up, though? Man. Yeah, shout out to y'all. Y'all are fresh as fuck. Don Chaos, if you like, you are welcome to join in here. You have access. But if you want to just kick back and watch, that's cool as well. But Shovel, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
There is so much to tell, man. I mean, I guess just the real basic of it. I'm a 46-year-old dude that never imagined he would have a life on the internet. I was born in Germany, raised in around Kansas City, raised in the state of Kansas my whole life. I have worked some crazy jobs over the span of my life. I mean, anybody my age probably has a few stories to tell. Like I was a radio DJ for a while. I operated a skate park for a while. I operated a music venue for a while. I ran a bar for a while. I worked at a youth ranch for a while for troubled teens in the great state of Idaho. I'm an accomplished horseman. I'm a really good horse rider. I don't know if you can tell that from looking at me. I also have been a deputy for the sheriff's department. So I did used to wear a badge in the day. Swill loves to point that out and throw that in my face every time he can. And I've worked in the trucking industry. And now I work at the health department here in Kansas City. There's a lot of other jobs kind of in between. I was a paper boy. That was my first job ever. And I sold tools at Sears for a while. So
nice. Yeah, that's awesome, man. You've had some interesting jobs there for sure. And I would have not have thought any of that whenever, watching your streams.
Yeah, I can saddle a horse and milk a cow, if you ever need that. I'm pretty good at that.
I think Ouija needs that.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of his videos and I'm always like, oh yeah, getting into chickens. I've had chickens. That's cool. And I wish we were neighbors because I'd pop in and be like, hey dude, that's actually not the best like screen to use to keep the varmints out. Like, here's what you actually need, like that'd be so fun.
Right. So I guess the next question then is, do you remember the first time you discovered like ICP or just in general this Juggalo underground?
Yeah. So that's where my story might be also a little different from the typical person you interview. First album I ever heard was Riddlebox. It would have been it was either my buddy Brett Delinsky's car or Brent Round's car, one or the other. Both of them had the album. And so this would have been like in 96. So we would have been just starting to drive 16, 17 years old. And we wore that CD out between both their cars. Then I got a car, so I bought my own copy of Riddlebox, and we jammed Riddlebox like crazy, because it was the perfect, like album to listen to as a teenager, because obviously my parents would hate it. I was into all kinds of other hip hop too, but I was also listening to I was listening to all the Seattle grunge stuff, and like Beck. I'm still a huge Beck fan. But ICP was always, they weren't my primary go-to. That was Pearl Jam, which, so that's the same with Violent J. Both of us are Pearl Jam fans. So that my primary would be Pearl Jam, but for like a palate cleanser, I don't know if that's the best way to put it. ICP would go into my CD player, and obviously I would crank it to the max, and I had subs in the trunk, and it was so good. But then I went to like college and stuff, and started working in the music industry, and I went more into like punk and metal and hardcore, and so I totally lost track of ICP. Didn't listen. I still had a Riddlebox and Great Malenko, and I would pop those in every so often, but I didn't listen to anything else like horror. Well, I listened to Brother Lynch Hung and some other rappers that were like in the horrorcore realm, but I wasn't really into Juggalo stuff. I was aware of Juggalos, being that I'm from the Midwest, and I would see Juggalos, and I never had a problem with Juggalos. It wasn't my thing. I was listening to, Black Flag and stuff, and throwing up the horns and listening to that kind of stuff. And so that was the first time I listened to it, but that was just as a kid. Now that I'm older and just the last few years starting to paint this stuff, I revisited Juggalo music because it kind of sucked me in, and I'm still catching up, but man, I missed a lot, and I've learned a lot, and I definitely have opinions. But I would say I favor the clowns over everybody.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That is interesting, because I understand where you're coming from on all ends. I originally grew up in the Midwest. I discovered ICP around like 96, 7, and I was all of 10 years old at the time. And it was my mom who introduced me, actually, because she was dating a juggalo, and he had Riddlebox, and said, my mom said, "Hey, that chicken hunting song's pretty funny. Why don't you throw that on?" So that's my introduction. But then my mom, like, she around that time was more into like the grunge thing, and my grandma was really big into grunge. Rest in peace. Her favorite group was Candlebox.
Oh, heck yeah.
And yeah, she's seen them like so many times. Like they all knew her by name.
Wow.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from, as well as like hearing it and then kind of like taking a back seat a little bit. I moved to LA whenever I was a freshman in high school, and I was into jug shit, but I was also into punk and metal. So I was all over the place, and in California, there weren't really a lot of juggalos,
Right.
I would find one here and there. And, I was influenced mostly by my surroundings at that time, like your groups of friends. And I was always the one that liked ICP and no one else. It'd be like my friend's like older brother who dropped out, like he was the first California juggalo I had met, and then there was this guy Lunchbox that I met like right around the same time. Shout out to Lunchbox.
Lunchbox is a great name, by the way.
Yeah, right. Lunchbox, that's OG like LA jug shit. Like everybody knows Lunchbox. But so I kind of fell out a little bit, like my couple of juggalos, like, back then you had to buy CDs,
Right.
you had to
It
purchase
took effort.
media.
It really took effort, and it took money to be able to hear music.
Yeah.
I should say, shout out to my buddy Staley. Way back in the day, even before I was listening to ICP, his parents were divorced, and he lived with his mom, but he would visit his dad like every other weekend or whatever. And his dad was weird. I don't know if you remember back in the day, music only came out on Tuesdays. Does everybody remember that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Tuesday was
Tuesday was
music release day. His dad every Tuesday would go to the music shop and he would buy everything that came out. He would buy singles, he would buy
Wow.
full albums, everything. And he was buying everything on CD, which this would have been like early mid 90s. So CDs were expensive. Like it was crazy that my buddy Staley even had a CD player, let alone we were listening to CDs. We were pretty ahead of the game, you know. But
Right.
what was rad was his his dad kind of sucked, but whatever. But he had a basement full of music. And we could make mixtapes. And I still make a killer mixtape, dude. I make such a good mixtape. My mixtapes are journeys. Every song plays into the next, and by the end of it, you've had all the feelings. It's so good. But I learned it from being a kid and having access to literally everything. And because in the 90s was such like a melting pot of cultures. I swear the 90s was like the best time ever. It was so good. It was okay to love hip hop, but also love, rock and roll that was like butt rock, like, the crappy stuff on the radio, but also listen to like Metallica at the same time and listen to ICP. Like you could listen to everything and nobody would be like, man, you're stupid. That's dumb. And then you pop in Garth Brooks on the weekend, just to switch it up a little bit. So yeah, I would make mixtapes where it would be like those weird, and I had a really good radio station in the Kansas City area called 105.9 The Laser that just played the really weird avant-garde stuff. It was a real radio station, but it was in a college town, so it was like kind of like a radio station, but it wasn't student run. It was just independent, and they did whatever the hell they wanted. So I was listening to like bands like, I don't know if you've ever heard of like Frog Stomp, Morphine. I could hear that on the radio, like crazy stuff, like Soul Coughing, just bands that you wouldn't hear normally. And they just played it all the time. And then same thing, they would like just pepper in Metallica every now and again, or like Nirvana would be in there. But Nirvana wasn't like other stations. Nirvana would be, you would hear them twice an hour. They were just stupid with it. And on like the Laser, it'd be like, you'd be lucky to catch Nirvana in a 3-hour set with a DJ. Like it was amazing. It was so good. But because of that, I came up in that atmosphere of, it's okay to listen to all music. And I had such great access to music that defined who I am today. Like I will listen to anything. I have, like I said, I'm opinionated with music. I hold it to a pretty high standard, and if it doesn't meet that standard, I'll let you know. But I'll try anything. I love listening. I love listening to and talking about music. It's my favorite topic. You would think it's art, like painting crap, but that's just what I do for fun. Music is honestly what I'm passionate about. I love music. I wish I was still in the music industry. It was so that was so good. That was such a fun time in my life.
I can talk music all day, like just all around. Like when I was growing up, my mom, she had me at 16, she was young, but her childhood was going to concerts. So as soon as Kiss came around and my grandma just showed up with me when I was 2 years old, like my mom's holding the place in line. My grandma just shows up with me because I wanted to go so bad. And my mom's like, I don't think they're going to let him in. They let me in, no ticket or anything. And after that point, my mom's like, well, I guess I'm just going to start taking them. So
That's
she started
awesome.
taking me. Yeah. And we went all throughout the Midwest because, I was Evansville, Indiana, and we had the River City Rocker 103 GBF that only played Nirvana and Metallica. But my mom, like she went on to work at Hot Topic when they opened the Hot Topic in town and shit. So like I had a pretty privileged, like kind of like, broken home, I guess, if you will.
I hear that. Like so I grew up, my parents are still married. And it's weird to talk about because it makes it sound like I grew up so like plush or whatever. But we didn't. Like my dad was a school teacher, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. It was me and my brother, and so and you know, my dad would like do extra jobs, like he would paint houses in the summer. He would teach driver's ed. He would ref volleyball. He would do all this stuff to get like side money so we could do like a summer vacation every year. But otherwise, like, you know, we were the Staley's house where he lived with his mom that was, you know, a single lady that was a single income home where she was on like, you know, getting like uh SSI or whatever it was then, food stamps or whatever. The stuff she had in her fridge sometimes was better than what was in my fridge because, you know, my mom was on a budget and didn't have have food stamps. And so like I could drink Tampico at Staley's house and I didn't have juice in my house.
Right.
But you know, so I grew up in a I would say a nice steady home, I guess, that didn't have that drama. But what was cool with my mom, especially, my dad was always working, so it didn't matter. He had no idea what I was doing. But my mom was always just like, she would give me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do within reason. And she would just want to have an awareness. So, dude, I would just, we had railroad tracks out in the, like behind my neighbor's house in the woods. And I could just walk those. Like there was one time Staley, my buddy Staley, shout out Staley again. As kids, we were like, I don't, maybe 12, maybe if not younger. And we took a weekend where we walked the railroad tracks and we like started on Friday, camped Friday night, walked more on Saturday, and then walked back and came back Saturday. You know, whatever. Like just having adventures. We were like, you know, Tom Sawyer style living. Like it was wild. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm glad I grew up when I did because I don't think there were so many dangers, and it's not like, you know, I was in, you know, a risk of, I had the same risk, I guess, of a random, you know, weird predator coming out of nowhere to scoop me up or whatever, like physically. But we didn't have the internet then. So it's not like people knew what I was doing that were outside of my mom. So like now my kids go someplace, they have a phone with them, they're on social media, so everybody can know where they are. And there's like a risk to that people, that's not what people think about. But there's also a risk too that the contacts on the internet, like some random dude can contact my daughter and be like, I think you're cute and whatever, and she'll be like, ooh. You know, we didn't have that when we were kids. So I could be out until the street lights came on without my mom knowing where I was riding BMX bikes and jumping crap out in a quarry somewhere where I literally could have died multiple times and nobody would have found my body for a while. But you know, whatever. We lived.
Yeah. I
But I
did
won't
the
let my kids do
same
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I did all that stuff too. Like we had I would walk for miles, you know, my mom have no idea where I'm at. I would go out to the middle of the woods where there was like the homemade like ditches for bikes,
Yeah.
like people made like
The
the dirt
trails.
ramps.
The
Yes,
trails. Yeah.
yes. And it was literally like some like teenagers that like fucking made these ramps so that we could all ride them. Like I
Heck
remember
yeah.
all those days, or you know, going down in like a big sewer ditch, you know, like to explore.
Oh
Like
my God. Yeah. Yeah. We had such a good one next to, it was called Cody Park, Buffalo Bill Cody Park. That was, oh my God. So this park was built out of railroad ties. Like, can you think of a more dangerous, like if you looked
I
at it, you
remember
got a
those.
splinter. Yeah. And it's like 2 stories and we were just jumping off it like idiots into a pile of rocks. But then if you walked the creek in the park, if you went the right direction, you would find a culvert And if you went into it, that thing was like a subway system. It was huge as a kid. And we would just go walking around in there, going through all the tunnels. We would get into the tunnels where we would have to like crawl on our bellies and inch forward until could get to like a culvert or like a downspout in the street. So it would like open up a little bit, and then there'd be just enough room to stand up and, meet Pennywise or whatever, and then turn around and crawl back. Like, so stupid. We could have died. Nobody would have found our body for a couple of days probably, but man, that was fun.
Hell yeah. I remember doing all of that same stuff. Backyard wrestling was big for us, like at my homie's house, and they had it was never supervised. Like we were throwing each other off the roof of a 1-story house onto a trampoline. My homie bounced off actually and landed into a wheelbarrow one time.
Nice.
Yeah, like it's really crazy thinking like how like times have progressed. Like we can't do that type of stuff anymore, and a lot of it has to do with the internet culture. Actually, it made it to where just predators and just it's a whole different ball game than when like we were kids.
Yeah, it's just the access is different. The fact, like I said, the fact that a stranger could know just because of what my daughter's posting, can learn her patterns and learn what might curry favor with her and plot, all based upon that. Whereas as a kid, nobody knew anything about me. They would just see, oh, he's wearing a Kansas City Royals t-shirt. He must love baseball. And, it'd just be, no, that was a hand-me-down from some other family that gave us a bunch of old clothes. Like, so yeah, it's just the access is different. And that's changed the world. Seth, this is not at all what I thought we'd be talking
about. I do these and I don't really have a script. I like to just keep it like, let it go, whatever direction it goes in. I have like a few things that I like to ask, which, one of them's going to be like, do you remember what your first concert was?
My first concert. So that's actually really easy. So although I was listening to a lot of music, I didn't really have the ability to go to a lot of shows as a kid, because my parents just don't care about music. Like in the house, they would never listen to music. It was talk radio and it was TV was all that was on. Never music, which is weird that I grew up loving music as much as I do. But because of that, I started kind of late. So my first concert was actually Vanilla Ice. And that would have been like 1997, I think. So it was just before he did his weird like it was either just before he did his weird like reggae album or his weird like metal album, his like kind of new metal grind album that he did. So he was still doing just straight hip hop. But it was still, enough years where it was like TMNT was not as popular anymore. And so like he wasn't at that level anymore, or let alone, to the extreme, was pretty dated. So it was a real small venue in Lawrence, Kansas, the college town that was nearby, and a place called the Granada Theater, which I still go to this day to see really cool shows. But it was wild being my first show, seeing this guy because I've honestly always been a Vanilla Ice fan. Like To the Extreme is actually one of my top tier albums. I don't care what you say. I think it's a great album. And the proof is in the fact that, it broke a lot of records, and that was what everybody was listening to in its day. And I would also make the argument that hip hop today is only what it is because of that album. So you can debate that with me, but you're wrong. But yeah, so I was always a fan of his, and he and I actually share the same birthday too. So there was like that connection with me and Rob Van Winkle. So yeah, that changed my life, where seeing him, I'd never seen live music. Well, maybe a couple of weird like hippie festivals or whatever that were in the city park or whatever. Maybe I'd seen that, but those aren't like, that's not quite the experience. It's just somebody's uncle up there playing a guitar that he bought from the pawn shop or whatever badly. But seeing Vanilla Ice and being able to literally reach out and touch him on stage, like that was remarkable to me. And so then I just started going to shows, and I still go to, I just saw like, to brag a little bit, I just went to go see the Amon Amarth Death Clock tour. Oh my God, dude. It was so good. It was so good. And then their opening act that's touring with them as well. I'd never heard of them. They're called Castle Rat. You should check them out. If you're into D&D or fantasy role play of any kind, or if you're into a very specific sound of like 70s hard rock metal, they really are stylistically that way, but they play in character, and they all have like D&D style characters that they play as. So like the bass player is a plague doctor, the lead guitarist is a vampire, the drummer is a druid, and then the lead singer is this chick that just sings incredible. Her sound is amazing, and also plays guitar while she's singing, and she plays some lead guitar too, which is really hard with how much she sings. And then she's dressed like I think, do you know the artist? I think his name's Frenetti, something like that. That he did a lot of iconic artwork for, yeah, check out Castle Rat. I'm telling you, it's so good.
I'm gonna check that out.
It's probably 1,000 times better live than it is like just listening to them or seeing a music venue or video, because their set, they go through basically a D&D campaign. And so between songs, she's narrating what they're doing as a band, and seeing and experiencing. And then they have like characters in costume. They're all in costume, but they'll have like, between songs, she'll talk about like people they run into on the road, and somebody will come out in costume and they'll fight or they'll have a conversation. It's like, it's so experiential and so cool. And she is scantily clad like a Frenetti girl. And that's cool too. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's really, it's wild. And then Amon Amarth obviously is amazing, and Death Clock is so brutal. And it's so, the way that they do a concert is they are completely backlit, so you cannot really see the band, because the band is only the sound. Like the physical band is only the sound. They are not the people. And meanwhile, on the screen, a huge screen, it's showing Death Clock like cartoons, and it's perfectly in sync. And it is so cool. So cool. I heard that that's what it was, but to actually see it, that's so hard to do. Like to keep all that time and be in such synchronicity with something you can't even see behind you. Oh my God, it's incredible. And I love Metalocalypse. It's so good. So funny.
Right. The Thunder Horse is a classic.
Yeah. Man, Mermaider. I love Mermaider so much.
Yeah. No, I really fuck with Metalocalypse. And actually, like, I really like a lot of different styles of like metal, like opera metal and shit. Like Blind Guardian's A Night at the Opera is like one of my all-time favorite albums.
Yeah, I honestly, so I've seen Jesus Christ Superstar live. And that may sound stupid, like to guys like us and people in the chat right now. You might hear that and be like, lame. No, you're dumb. It's so good. And when I saw it, was years ago that I saw it. I actually saw the guy that played Jesus in the movie version was on the tour that we saw. and it's a full, like, it's an orchestra, but they also have a legit rock band, like, intermingled with the orchestra. And that dude that played Jesus, my God, he's a ripper. That guy, he had some pipes, man. He was all over it. And then just to hear an orchestra with an electric bass, and the bass was just cranked, and to feel that the rhythm from that bass guitar, oh my word, it was so good. So yeah, even having metal in Broadway, it's so cool. It's so good.
Hell yeah. So my next question for you, do you remember your first like Juggalo show? Like was it ICP, Twisted, like
So yeah, so I never saw any shows when I was a teenager, when I talked about first hearing them when I was like 16, 17. I never went to any shows. There were a couple of times, like, I don't remember if, or I don't know if you recall, like, the quote unquote early days of ICP, when they would, like, literally just tour in a van, and they would just stop in, like, Walmart parking lots and basically, like, camp after a show. And word would just kind of get out through the grapevine, again, pre-internet. And so there were a couple of times where they were in, like, Pittsburgh, Kansas, and I was going to school in Joplin, Missouri, and I would, like, hear through the grapevine, did you ICP's at the Walmart in Pittsburgh? You want to go see them? And I did one time. But it was like a bunch of people that were way into it, and then me that was just like, you know, I own an album and stuff, but what they're talking about doing right now, I don't know anything about. But it's cool that they're right there. But I didn't see them perform. They'd performed earlier, and then that was like the post show, I don't know, just hangout. So I didn't actually see my first Juggalo show until I saw the Clowns here in Kansas City, like, a year ago, maybe a little more. Um, like, even though I went to a lot of shows, and I went to the odd hip hop show, like, I'd seen, like, 3 6 Mafia, and I'd seen, like, Bone Thugs and stuff like that, because who hasn't? They play every stage anywhere. Um, so I've definitely seen them, but I never, through everything that I'd experienced in my life, it never came across my radar to actually go to, like, a Juggalo show. Especially, ICP and like Twisted. Honestly, I didn't even know about Twisted. I didn't know about Twisted. I didn't know about ABK, Blaze You Dead Homie, all of that. I didn't even know about those guys. I only knew about ICP. So even if I had seen them on, like, a poster or a flyer or whatever, it wouldn't have come come into my mind that, oh, that's a Jug show. Obviously now, I know. Um, but yeah, I would say seeing ICP as a 44 or 45-year-old man, and I went by myself, by the way, at a venue here in Kansas City called the Truman. That I'd been to metal shows there, like Cannibal Corpse plays there. So, like, it was not unfamiliar territory, but it was so different. Like, what the only way I can explain it is because I used to run a music venue. I've literally seen hundreds, maybe thousands of concerts. I've seen so many different bands, and it's to the point now where usually if I'm seeing live music at a venue, it's hard for me to separate myself from thinking about the logistics of, well, I would have run the like ticket counter differently, or that's not a good place for merch, like, or the sound is off. Like, I wish he would work a little more on, like, his 1200 hertz frequency is a little dodgy. Sometimes I get really lost in that. So it takes a pretty special band to just grab my attention and hold on to it. And Sing and Sing Clown Posse, even though am this guy, old, I felt like a kid again, honestly. Like it was fun. I haven't had fun at too many shows for a while. Death Clock would be another exception. But I was just so like wrapped up and enamored in what was happening, and not just on the stage, in the crowd too. Like there's just such an energy there that it just it pulls you in, and it makes you want to be part of it. So I wasn't at the back of the room like I am a lot of times at shows now, where I'm just arms crossed standing in judgment. I was up, I wouldn't say I was in the pit, but I was just behind the pit with just some really cool folks. And even my glasses got knocked off at some point, and I was like almost at a sheer panic. And this nice juggalette next to me like totally rescued me, totally got my glasses back to me. I ended up sending her some stuff I'd painted just because it was so nice. And that was part of the experience too. Like it was just nobody sucked. Like the whole crowd was cool. Everybody was there for the same thing. It was a shared moment together, and it was so nice. Um, so yeah, it was an amazing show. And then I went to the gathering, and that's like a whole nother world of music experience, and loved it too. Honestly, I like for the main stage, I never went into the crowd. I was totally happy just sit our where I camped with Camp AAB, shout out AAB. We were just up the hill with a great view of the stage from our front lawn. Like we were the first line of tents. So we were right next to Team MUJ, and just other really cool people. So I just would turn on my phone and I just live streamed to Facebook the entire time, and just let people that were missing the gathering experience the gathering, even though it wasn't, like maybe the best like wide angle shot or whatever. You could still hear it. You could still kind of see the stage. And I was so content in being creating the opportunity for that experience for others was very fulfilling for me, on top of experiencing the stage myself from where I was. Like it, I don't know, life changing. It was life altering for real. And yeah, so now I'm looking for any jug show I can find. And I've been to a lot of shows like Swill said in the chat. Like I went and saw Clockworky in St. Louis recently, and that was amazing too. For a Sunday night, it was a good crowd, and the crowd was way into it, and everybody on stage was way into it. Like it's just it's cool to see people that are so engaged in the same direction on a thing, and that's hard to find. Like you go see Death Clock, for example, and the crowd is a variety of people, and some people are only there because they heard that it's the cool show for the night, so they're trying to impress their friends and have the ticket stub and the t-shirt to prove that they were there, but they don't actually care. And that was the guy right next to me, and I hated it the whole time. And then there's people that are just there because they're like Adult Swim fans or whatever. And then there's people that are there because they're Amon Amarth fans more than they are Death Clock, which is, understandable because they're both juggernauts. And so it's the crowd doesn't feel like they're all unified for a purpose. They just happen to be in a room together. Going to a jug show, it feels like everybody is there in a single-minded purpose. And it's such a different feeling. You and I both being from the punk scene, knowing the punk scene, you can get that from time to time in punk. And it's usually bands that are more I don't want to say political. Well, the political ones too, but the ones that are like outspoken about things, that gets the crowd like just teamed up under the banner of whatever they're against, whatever they're raging against, whatever, that's kind of a punk thing. That's a very punk world thing. And that experience is similar in jug culture, even though I don't know that jugs necessarily know that. But I feel like in jug culture, it's even more defined than it is in punk culture. Because again, in punk culture, you could have skinheads in the room. You can have sharps in the room. You can have people that are straight edge. You could have people that are just crust punk dirt bags that have heroin needles sticking out of their arm. And there's so many weird divisions in punk. They'll all come to the same show, but it can kick off a literal fight in the crowd.
Yeah.
And jug culture, you don't really, at least I haven't really seen it. I can't say I'm the expert. I haven't gone to every show ever. Sure, it does happen. But my experience at the shows I've been at is everybody is just stoked to be there as a juggalo with juggalos. Yeah, punk forever. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. No, like I can definitely say that, like, especially when I lived in LA, like going to we had a bunch of just fucking like venues that were just like underground punk shit and didn't even know no idea who's performing. You know what I mean? Like we had
LA is thick with punk. So thick.
Oh yeah. I think it was the Knitting Factory.
Yeah, I
think that was the big one in LA where there was 3 different rooms and you would just buy one ticket and they would have 3 different things going on at one time.
Yeah.
So you could walk in like the smaller room, which was like usually like the underground local punks, and then you'd go into the bigger room and it would be like something different. It wouldn't even be punk.
Yeah.
And then the main room where whoever was like the main act of the night, but they would have literally 3 different rooms going on all at once. Like it was super fresh. But
that's rad.
I'm gonna agree that like when it comes to that unity, like punk is definitely the closest that you get when it comes to this juggalo culture. Like like metalheads are so divided. I remember back in the day seeing Dragon Force. It was when Through the Fire and the Flames came out. That was brand new, and they had Horse the Band opening for them. And oh my God, never have I seen an audience more divided in my freaking life. And I was a fan of both.
That's
so
terrible,
I was a huge.
That's a terrible lineup, man. And I love Horse the Band, but yeah, putting those two together, that's so stupid.
No, actually, the Knitting Factory is not the one I was thinking of. There was another, like, the Knitting Factory is actually the Troubadour. All right, one time I saw Horse the Band at the Troubadour, and they wouldn't let what's his name? Eric? I think his name's Eric, the keyboardist. They wouldn't let his girlfriend in the venue for some reason. And because they wouldn't let her in. I think she was like 20 and she like got caught drinking, like something like that. And it turned into a big war with the sound guy and Horse the Band and a big fuck the Troubadour thing. It was Horse the Band and Poison the Well.
Oh, dude, Poison the Well. Heck yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like those shows, like you could see the audience divided, even at like Horse the Band and Poison the Well. Like there's like the hardcore kids, like that was whenever like hardcore dancing was a thing with the Jackie Chan kicks and all that shit.
Yeah.
There's the half of the audience that's for it and the half that wasn't, But yeah, going back to what we were saying, punk definitely is the closest to juggalo culture as it gets, like in my book.
I also another shared thing that you see in punk and you also see it in jug culture is DIY. Like and I am a huge proponent of DIY. Basically if there's a thing that I need and I can't afford to buy it, I'm going to figure out how to make it. Or even if I don't want to buy it, like if I have any inkling that I could do that, I'm going to do it. And I feel like, I mean, that's obviously a huge thing in punk where, like the Misfits were literally cutting their own cardboard to build their own record sleeves and putting their records together physically. Glenn Danzig would be taping his sleeves together to sell that album at the show that night, which still blows my mind that there are copies of Misfits albums where Glenn Danzig actually built them. Like that blows my mind. And if I could ever find one, I would love it. But so that is still deeply ingrained in punk culture, and jug culture has that too, where I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of juggalos, if there's something they want and it's not easily attainable, they'll make it happen themselves. And obviously that's what this whole Precious Juggalos thing, has been built off of, is, what started as just a hobby that turned into something that other people enjoyed and wanted. I've had to, throughout the years, find ways to make it accessible and also make opportunities where it's easier for me to create stuff that people can get that they want, and not so hard as like painting just detail stuff all day long, because I can't, there's only so much painting I can do. But boy, I can make a prayer candle while I'm watching TV or whatever. That's not such a big deal, but this takes concentration and it wears me out after a minute. So yeah, DIY, I am a huge proponent and respecter of anybody that will just do it themselves. Like, and I think quite a few people in the chat are that way, just because, I know quite a few names in the chat, and I know that they do live that lifestyle. And they're content creators. If you're a content creator, you are DIY. Like, you built what you have here right now, Seth. Like, this was you. Like, the fact that you and I are talking right now is from your work. So that's DIY. If people don't understand the whole like realm of what DIY is, it's not just remodeling your bathroom. It's creating. And if you're creating something yourself, then you're a DIY person.
Hell yeah. I mean, I got a Juggalo patched up, like, sweater in the closet right now. I've actually got I've made quite a few of them over the years. But so I guess my next question then is, how did you get started with Precious Juggalos, and how did you get back into, or really, I guess, discover like the Juggalo culture? Like, what made you want to do Juggalo paintings, and how did that become a thing?
So that that's a weird thing. So my wife showed me a picture that was like viral online of that somebody had painted a nativity scene where all the different pieces had like Juggalo face paint. And I saw it and I thought it was hilarious. Like I said, I had an awareness of Juggalo culture. I just didn't have like a respect or desire to be like part of it. Like, I shouldn't say I didn't have respect for it. I have always had respect for being in the music industry. I've always had a respect for this incredible subculture that the clowns have built. And I don't know, this whole, it's its own atmosphere of like symbiotic lifestyle that they've created over the years. And I was always kind of fascinated by that, but I never really like delved into it. I just knew it was there. But so my wife showed me that picture and I thought it was pretty funny, but I also thought, that's not the best painting I've ever seen. Like, I've seen better. And I think I probably could paint it better. But and I think I even said that to my wife, and she put it away and we just moved on with our lives. Like, it was just something very much in passing. It was not like in that moment I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. but that's stuck in the back of my mind, just in a corner somewhere. And then I lost my best friend to suicide. Um, and that really kind of derailed my whole life. Like, I kind of spiraled. I went down into a dark path, and I was like, "What's up, EC? It's good to see you, dude. I love you, man." Um, so I started drinking really heavy and just destroying myself. Like little by little, I was just destroying myself. And so obviously my wife was seeing that, and uh I honestly, I don't know, I can't remember how exactly it came about, but my wife does reselling, so she goes to thrift stores and finds good deals that she resells online. And so there's always little trinkets, grandma stuff that just gets left behind. And at one point, I'm pretty sure my wife was just like, why don't you just go ahead and like paint one of those? Because I guess I should say I was painting like fantasy miniatures, um, like D&D stuff. So I was painting like,
40K stuff.
elves and orcs and like knights and just fantasy stuff. So I had the paintbrushes, I had the nice paints, and I was kind of, I had the magnifiers and lights and stuff. So I was kind of tinkering around with painting, but I was never an artist. I never really like painted, um because I didn't think I could. But then she went ahead and brought home some little things, and this was actually the first one I ever painted. Um, and I'll never forget painting this guy. And like looking at him now, he's not great. Like, uh, he's pretty flawed. His lines aren't clean. Like, the makeup's not even right. Like, if you really look at him, it kind of sucks a little bit. Um, but I'll never forget the moment that I finished painting him. I had not laughed in a long time after losing my best friend. Nothing was funny anymore. And I should have one another thing in my career. At one point I was trying to be a comedian. That's why I lived in Chicago for a while. Um and he was kind of my comedy partner. But so anyway, I just lost the ability to find fun and funny things until I painted him. And I saw his face when I was done, and he made me smile, and I started laughing out loud because it's just so absurd and so silly. And it was the first time I had done that in months. And like kind of immediately pulled me out of the darkest time of my life. And so my wife had happened to have bought like a few different, similar just pieces of junk at the thrift store. And so I was like, okay, well, that was good. So I painted another one. And I had posted this online on like my personal Facebook, and a lot of my friends were really digging it. And so I was painting a couple others, and my friends were like, "Well, can I like, if I paid you, would you send me one of those? I kind of like that." So I was like, "Okay." So I painted a few more and sold them to my friends. And then I was, got to thinking about it. I was like, this might actually be like a thing. Like, I think people might like this as much as I do. And so it was literally that. After I painted just a few of them and sold just a couple to my friends, I was like, okay, but if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this like legit. Like, I want a logo right away before I do anything. So I had a friend that is a graphic designer, and I was like, I sent him the Precious Moments logo, and then I sent him like an old English version of Juggalos, just like in the font. And I was like, can you take this and take out moments and stick in juggalos and just kind of, you know, work your magic to make it look like it belongs together. And so he did. And as soon as I got that logo back, I was like, oh man, this is definitely, well, this logo, still my logo. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, that pops. Like that's iconic. That's a look right there. I was like, okay, so that I've got a logo. I've got a kind of a basic business idea. I'm going to make my business Facebook, and I'm going to put some of these on Marketplace. And so I did, just little by little, small increments. I started painting some, I put them on Marketplace. And then as the internet goes, somebody saw one of my Marketplace posts, and they reposted it. And they had a pretty decent following on Facebook, and they just reposted it, and so it went viral. And so then people started coming on to follow my page. That up until that point, I had been a thing for months, and my followers were like my mom, my aunt, and some people I knew from high school. You know, like there were like 12 people, and I would post stuff, and it would be like 0 reactions and no comments and whatever. And then after that one person had reposted one of my pictures, I started getting my first like strangers that were following me. And so then I started painting more things, and I in the meantime I was like so another thing. So I was a radio DJ. I also did some TV stuff a long time ago. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I used to work in television. So I had always kind of wanted to do like an online show. Like originally I was going to do a channel called Craft Soda Reviews, where I would just drink craft soda and just give a review. Crazy. Because nobody was really doing that. And I kind of enjoy craft soda. So I even built a set in my garage, and was really kind of gearing up for it. And then it just never felt right. And it just wasn't up to like my standards. So I never actually released anything on the channel. But I had some equipment. Like I had some like equipment for shooting videos and editing videos. So I was like, you know, I'm in this studio. I've got some lights, and I already own like a camera. What if I just start streaming? You know, like just turn a camera on, facing the desk while I'm painting, and we'll just see what happens. And the first time I started streaming, a random juggalo comes in the chat, and just starts talking to me, asking me like, you know, are you a juggalo? How long have you been a juggalo? The standard questions. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. I don't know anything about nothing. I just know Jay and Shaggy, and I like their face paint, and it's funny to put them on this stuff. Like there's comedy to this. Like it's a juxtaposition, and that's what's funny. And so that's why I'm doing it. And I turned on a camera just because I was like, why not? And so he and I chatted for a while I was streaming, and then I ended the stream. And then the next time I did a stream, he showed up, and a couple other juggalos showed up. And so then like we started talking about juggalo stuff, and I started like learning really quickly about the history of everything I'd missed in 25 years, which is a lot. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. And so it wasn't that I I sought out the juggalos found me. And before, really, I started saying I was like Juggalo adjacent. Like I felt really hesitant to even call myself a Juggalo because I felt very like, I don't want to say, yeah, I guess unworthy of like claiming it because I had missed so much. And I felt like, you know, I feel like I'm just, I'm just some idiot that's doing something personal that just so happens to be putting it online. And, um, and so slowly as I streamed more and more and started to meet more and more juggalos, and my page on Facebook started exploding, and so that created more contacts with juggalos and form a lot of former juggalos. Like that's the weird thing about, well, not weird, there's a lot of crossover appeal with Precious Juggalos. So it's not only juggalos, like, and a lot of juggalos don't like, I feel like sometimes they get offended because I'll do and say things that don't feel very juggalo on like on Facebook, but it's because I have so many people that just see the funny and they're not interested in being a juggalo per se, or they're kind of like me where they were a juggalo when they were a teenager and then they just kind of wandered away from it. So it's just very nostalgic for them to see what I'm doing, and so they connect with it that way. And again, they're not interested in necessarily being a juggalo and going to the gathering, but they really like what I do. Um, and um, so my juggalo journey, I honestly, it wasn't until the gathering last year where like I said, it was a life changing few days of being there, and being with really great people that really were very supportive, and just accepting and ingratiating. And so by the end of the gathering, it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm both feet are in. This is my life now. I am a juggalo. It's not just I'm a guy with a business that's, you know, skirting around juggalos. I'm part of the culture now. Like, and I love being part of the culture. And I love to be able to say that I'm a juggalo. Like it's it still seems like something that where I shouldn't be the guy that says, yeah, I'm a juggalo. Like, I used to wear a badge, and I've done all the things where it's like, I don't know, that guy probably shouldn't be here. But nobody else has that hang up. It's like, it's just me where I keep putting it on myself that I'm not supposed to be part of this. Uh, but if I run into the average juggalo, they're just like, no, I want to give you a hug and get a picture. Like, I don't know. It's awesome, and I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, relapse to low. I've caused a lot of people to relapse.
Yeah, a relapse. I get that very much. Like, 'cause like I was saying earlier, whenever I was in LA, like I didn't really consider myself a juggalo, at the same time, like I'd been to multiple ICP shows, like I'd seen some of the most iconic shit. I remember the unveiling of the sixth Devil's Night at fucking year 2001 when they unveiled the Wraith. It was in Indianapolis.
That's wild.
Fucking like I remember, you know what I mean? And I actually got my tickets through Jamie. I met him at a mall. My mom was working out Hot Topic, and there's a bunch of guys in the psychopathic leathers walking around, and she's like, "Hey, I think some people are here. Like, get over here."
That's awesome.
And yeah, we were living in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the time, and we got there, and I met fucking Jamie, and I asked him if he could sign my Great Malenko shirt, and he's like, "Nah, hold on though." And there's like one of those kiosks in the middle, that like sell jewelry or something. And next to their register, they had like little baggies, like little paper bags to put like the jewelry in. And he looked over and was like, "Hey, mind if I get one of those? Thank you." I just swiped one of those like little brown bags and signed it for me real quick.
That's cool.
And then he hooked me and my mom up with guest list. It was Hatchet Rising, Devil's Night and fucking, I believe it was Indianapolis.
That's
That shit
wild.
was hella fresh. So, but yeah, I'd done a bunch of crazy shit like that, you know, but whenever I moved to LA, like I was still paying attention, had an ear to things. I wasn't paying attention to everything, you know, but I didn't really call myself Juggalo. It was like, it was a different time, you know, like I started getting into like mindless self-indulgence around that time.
Right. Yeah.
You know, different thing, you know, which that's like my whole arm is mindless self-indulgence. The first time I saw them, actually, they opened for ICP, but
That's wild.
you know, you start going in a different direction. I met my wife, and then we moved to Indiana, like right after we got married, and I started hanging around with my cousins. They're all juggalos, and next thing I know, like I'm fucking full blown jugging, you know.
Yeah.
Everything else is just different.
I think another piece of the puzzle that really made me like just jump in head first into being a juggalo. Like and I'm not like saying this to like brag or anything. It's just to illustrate a point. Like the clowns themselves were always like icons. And in any other, I shouldn't say any other culture, but sometimes people at the level that they are for their subculture are kind of aloof and kind of I don't know, like not, I don't want to say unapproachable, unattainable. You know what I mean? Like iconic artists that have been around for as long as they have and done as much as they have sometimes are you just you can't have a personal experience with them unless you pay for it. So there have been some times where like Violent J has shot me a few messages, which is wild. Blew my mind the first time. I remember it came across my phone at like midnight and I was just about to fall asleep. And like I see that and I'm like, wait, it's gotta be like a ghost account. It can't actually be him. So, you know, I look really quick and I'm like, holy, it's him. So I wake up my wife and I'm like, Violent J just DM'd me. And anyway, so that was very cool. Very, very cool. And that's happened a few other times. And every time it's just like, holy crap. And then like Shaggy has, on multiple occasions at this point, just talked about me during the Shaggy show. And same thing where it's like there were a couple of times where he and Renee would talk about me. And it felt so familiar, as though maybe I was part of like their dinner conversation. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, Shovel over at Precious Juggalos did it again. You know, like it just it's so cool that not only, because that was always a thing for me. Like I never, because it started off as just something that was personally funny to me and ironically funny and kind of you know, just because you said it now it's on my mind, self-indulgent. um like I didn't want them to think I was disrespecting them, because it was never that. And so to have them speak about me or to me in such a like genuine heartfelt way, of where they genuinely like what I do, is so just validating. And so like it just confirms to me I'm doing the right thing. You know what I mean? We were even talking about that in my stream today. Because something about the gathering, there was a rule about not selling bootleg items. And so that came up in the chat, and that kind of struck a chord, because you know what I do is, some of what I do is kind of aping their work. Um, but I know for a fact that what I'm doing is okay. Because that was already a rule that's already been in place with the gathering. It's just necessarily enforce it. And I appreciate and understand it. Shaggy designed the Hatchet Man, and the Hatchet Man is so iconic and so specific that you could see it from 2 miles away and you know what it is. You know exactly what it is and you know what it means. And it's not just in jug culture, it's in the world. People know what the Hatchet Man is. And so for people to directly rip the Hatchet Man and try to sell the Hatchet Man, yeah, that is blatant disrespect of Shaggy and his work. But to use the Hatchet Man and reimagine him is a different thing entirely. So at the Juggalo flea market last year, I sold stuff, and that's a hard and fast rule at the Juggalo flea market. You cannot have anything with the Hatchet Man. Can't. Full stop. It's not allowed. And because it's not fair to Shaggy. He should get a cut. It's his design. It's not fair to an artist to make money off of their art without, giving anything back. So before the event, I had to clear my stuff. And so I was a little nervous because I do have my own Hatchet Man that you can kind of see on the screen. You can see kind of half of them under Seth right there. That's that was designed by my daughter, by the way. My oldest daughter designed that Hatchet Man for me, and it's a Precious Moments boy holding a hatchet with Violent J face paint. And so it has the same footprint of Shaggy's Hatchet Man, but clearly it's different. And so, but I was still nervous. So before the flea market, I was talking to somebody from Psychopathic, and I was like, hey, I just need to know, because I know this is a rule, and I don't want to break any rules. And if I can't sell anything with this on it, that's fine. I'll put it back. I'm not here to break any rules. I respect all of this, and I just appreciate that I can even be here. And so, I showed them the design, and it was so again funny and validating that before I was even really done showing it to her, she was like, "Oh no, I know your stuff. You're fine because yours is different." And like there's no issue with it. Shaggy is good with yours. And so then, in fact, even before the flea market opened, and I was kind of set up, she came back to my table and she was like, "Hey, we're not supposed to buy anything from you guys until the flea market starts, but can I buy something from you?" So I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
real quick.
Let's keep this going. So yeah, like I said, it's validating that there is an awareness at Psychopathic of what I do. There's an appreciation for what I do. Because like I said, I think what I do is bridging a lot of gaps between straight hardline Juggalo culture and the rest of the world. Because there's a lot of misconceptions, obviously, of what Juggalos are, and everybody just assumes they're disgusting meth heads that, only like live out of their cars and are just cooking meth out of Pepsi bottles, or I guess Fago bottles, and just terrible, disgusting people. And when I'm over here just being this guy and painting precious moments, like clearly I'm breaking that construct. And I think it's good that I'm here for that. Like I'm someone that can be like a liaison between Juggalo culture and people that have misconceptions of Juggalo culture. And I think that Psychopathic appreciates that too. That I make it more approachable, and I make it a little bit more friendly, I guess, just by my existence.
Like, I will say, when I first discovered you through Don Chaos. Shout out to Chaos.
Shout out Don Chaos.
That's been the homie for well over a decade. But he introduced me to you, and it was like months after my grandma had passed,
Mm.
and very, very weird time in my life. We're also like trying to figure out where we're gonna live because my wife used to work in Big Lots, and as you know, Big Lots closed.
Yeah.
She was a manager, and whenever Big Lots closed, she got like a nice like check, for staying till the last day, and then we got our tax check right after that, and we just decided we wanted to leave California, you know. So,
Might
um,
as well.
yeah, but that's around the time like I had discovered you. It was whenever just everything in my life was just kind of weird, like I was trying to come back into the YouTube scene because I had left for a few years after my place had burned down, and I put everything down, and I'm trying to get back into shit. And Don Chaos showed me you, and it was just a completely different vibe. Like I've been doing Juggalo YouTube since the beginning, like early days of Juggalo YouTube. So I've seen all the different waves, but then I saw you, and I'm like, this is totally different. This is Juggalo ASMR, like to the fullest, like it's a very calm, chill environment. And the chat was awesome. You know what I mean? It was all good vibes. And I was just like, dude, this is different. This is chill. And as I was like collecting myself, like your stream, like it kind of helped a bit, like just tuning in and just, you know what I mean? Just listening to whatever you had going on, like while I'm doing my dishes or whatever, like it was it made me feel good. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
I love that,
I
man, because that's my goal. That's all I want to be. That's literally all I want to be. I I I call myself the Bob Ross of Juggalo face painting because Bob Ross to me growing up was always a calming, like, just point of anchor in my life where I could turn on PBS, and if Bob Ross was on, I could just relax. And even if it was only for a 30-minute program, I knew I was good. And I knew that whatever was bothering me in the world was gone for 30 minutes. And so I stream for an hour a day, and that's all I want it to be. I want it to be a calming, welcoming, kind, friendly, just atmosphere of just kindness. And I want joy to be part of it too, because that's what personally that's what this was for, was to find my joy again and maintain my joy. And I've always said I'll keep doing it as long as it brings me joy. And so far it's doing it in spades. And thankfully it as a business, it's a fairly successful thing too. And that helps bring me joy. The fact that I can afford to go see Death Clock, like otherwise I've got kids, I've got a mortgage, I work for the government, so I'm not making a ton of money. Um, so all my money otherwise is just going to my house and my kids. Precious Juggalos helps me enjoy what I like. And then some. Like it also pays bills. I paid a house payment with Precious Juggalos. Like that's wild to me. That's so
that is
wild to
wild.
me. And like it made it so that I was able to go to the gathering last year. I couldn't have afforded that. There's no way. No way. And it's doing it again this year. And that's I there's just so much positive that it brings into my life, and that's all I want to put into the world. I just
So,
I want to
so
reflect that back to everybody that wants to participate.
so I guess my question then is, you know, I don't really know what your perception was of juggalos and the culture before you started interacting, but let's just say like did you maybe like start interacting with juggalos and maybe some preconceptions Like, just like, huh, I wouldn't have thought that, you know? Like, did you start to see juggalos differently, I guess, after you started interacting?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I did kind of have I I had a preconceived idea of what juggalos would be like and what the culture would be. I didn't realize it was so extensive. Like I didn't realize there were so many layers to it and so much to it. Um, to my recollection, it was only the clowns. I knew the gathering was a thing. Um, but yeah, I didn't know that there was so many different avenues within the culture. But I also I should say that my like closest link to the culture would have been while I was living in Joplin, Missouri, which is that was also where I was running the music venue and doing the cool stuff in that period of my life. So, um, if you know anything about Joplin, Missouri, there is something that they're famous for. Um, and so, which would be methamphetamine. Um, and so I, d- I don't want to say my expectation was every juggalo was a meth head, but and not every meth head I met was a juggalo,
Right.
but there were definitely some parallels in the Joplin area, and not just Joplin, but you know that Southwest Missouri, Southeast Kansas, Northeast Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas. That the four corners right there. There are a lot of juggalos in that area. You know, if believe it or not, it is quite a thing. And so I would see them from time to time. Um, but you know, I didn't have juggalo shows on my stage because there weren't any juggalo acts that were, um, asking to come to my venue because, you know, I was doing all the punk and hardcore and metal stuff. So it didn't really come up, but I would be like going to Walmart and I would run into some like, or not run into, I would see some juggalos and it would be all the negatives. I would see all the negatives. So when I first started doing this stuff and started getting online, obviously that does exist. We can't pretend like it doesn't. There are juggalos that are that way. And they tend to be loud and they tend to draw attention, which sucks. But so it goes, you know. I mean, that again, that exists in punk culture too. The loudest, most obnoxious idiot crust punks ruin everybody's concept of what punk is. And it sucks. But it it, it just is. And that happens with jug culture also. But the on the upside, because I was live streaming and because I was on like Facebook, your average person that's on YouTube is where I started. Your average person on YouTube that's looking for somebody streaming in the afternoon, not late at night like this, and maybe has Juggalo in the title, they don't tend to be the the grimiest of Juggalos. So it just by happenstance, I stumbled upon some really, really solid, good people that then introduced me to other people like, like Don Chaos for me as well. Um, Started showing up at my streams and he was one of the first guys that I was getting to know. And um and he isn't that way. Like he's one of the goodest dudes ever. That's
Right.
he's just a kind guy. Um, and so meeting a guy like Don Chaos and then, being interviewed by him and then subsequently some other podcasters, like uh, you see the other side of the juggalo culture. You see the best side of it, which is the majority. Like I wish the world would know that the majority of jug culture is amazing people, such good people that just have good, solid hearts that only they want. They have they experience jug culture the same way I did at the gathering last year, where it has changed their lives and made it better. And they only want that for others. Like they they are trying to present what the best aspects of juggalo culture is, but that's not what gets the attention. It tends to be the negative. So the world sees that negative. Um, I forgot what the question is, but there are so many good, great, positive juggalos, and my mission is to be one of those. And if if there's a time where I need to like, I don't want to say take the lead on some things, but like push us as creators, content creators, juggalos in a direction like even with the TV guide. You remember when I did the TV guide? Do you know why I did that?
Oh,
Because
I do. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
tired of
Yeah.
seeing so many juggalos stepping on each other, like maybe not intentionally competing with each other, but just like going live at the same times and then being like, man, why am I only getting 10 people or whatever? And then this guy's getting, well, it's because you're at the same time, bro.
Yeah.
Like, can
I
we
remember that.
organize? Yeah.
I
So,
remember you
so
made like
that's,
3 or 4 flyers at least, and it
yeah,
showed everyone's like day and time.
because it wasn't just to help the crowd know when we were on. It was also because I wanted all of us to know when others were on so we could allow time for each other and then also support each other, like know when each other are on. Then I started to realize a lot of the different programs don't have like set times. So, you don't know when they're necessarily going to go live because like for you, excuse me, you kind of tailor your schedule around your guest, which is understandable. So
Okay.
that doesn't make for a very ideal situation of, well, Seth Moon with Carnival Spirits is only on this date and time or day and time. So it kind of it's hard to make a TV guide when the schedule varies. So eventually I was just like, you know what, I tried.
Yeah, no,
I,
I
I
noticed
think
at one point, whenever you're doing the TV guides, like one of the last iterations had Humble Among on it, and it was like goes live whenever he feels like it.
yeah, because literally that's how that goes. And so like I did it for him just because I was like, whatever. He just out of respect, I'll just put that on there. And then there were more and more that were like, yeah, I'm the same thing. I just go on whenever. And I'm like, my God, I can't do 30 people that are just like whatever they feel like streaming, they do. Just turn on your
Yeah,
notifications.
right.
Like,
That kind of defeats the purpose.
yeah. So yeah, I just gave up with it. But still, like, or even with like Replicon Radio, with the Replicon Radio Awards, like it's very cool that I won Content Creator of the Year this year, but like that's it. I don't want it again. Like even if I'm nominated, I will say do not vote for me. I bow out because I don't need it. I got it, and it's it. I got the validation. I got the certificate. I want the next guy to get it. Like I want everybody to feel like, you know, your hard work is worth something. You're not just streaming to nobody. You're streaming to people, and you're creating a difference in the culture, and it should be celebrated. So I don't know. In the future, I still want to be able to like kind of organize us as content creators somehow. I don't know how, but as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know because I don't know. I think there's still something there to it.
Hard.
But I've been too busy to focus on that.
Yeah. What we used to do here at Carnival Spirits, like maybe like 7, 8 years ago, we used to do takeovers of what we called them. And we would schedule times that different channels would come on our channel to promote their channel. And
which that's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, like we did that for a while, and we would have like just people, submit content to us, or we'd set it up so that they could go live, and so yeah, I definitely get what you're talking about. Like you want to spread the freshness, like, hey, like I'm over here, there's also homie over here, and there's
Yeah.
homie over there, and we're all in this together. Like we're all
Yeah.
creating for this
Well,
culture.
and I don't. I think my fear with it is, and this is to just be brutally honest, and maybe this will rub some people the wrong way, but it just is what it is. I think there's a danger in becoming a content creator that starts to build their own sect of people and starts to kind of get a god complex of, oh, all these people agree with me, I must be right, I must be good. And that just leads to division and derision where some people are saying, oh well, I am a disciple of Precious Juggalos, I don't listen to Seth Moon, he's got his, that's a whole nother thing, and he's talking about things that Shovel doesn't talk about. I'd rather listen to Shovel. And I would much rather it just be, no, we have juggalos that enjoy content, and we just all share. we because we are, it's all a juggalo is a juggalo is a juggalo is a juggalo. Obviously some have different opinions about different things, but maybe we should just not be so opinionated. Maybe we should just create content and
Yeah.
not what I like to say is that my as I say that, people that do come into my stream have been talking about how they want to establish a cult of precious juggalos, and they would
Precious
be the
cult.
precious weirdos. But no, it is, to because I see it happening currently with some channels, and that's just such a stupid thing. Like, it's so clicky high school drama stuff, and we don't need any of that. Like, the world is full of that. The world of normies is full of that. Like, to me, juggalos, we're supposed to be all about supporting each other because the world doesn't support us. Well, then why are we hating on each other right now? That's stupid. That's real stupid. And that's not the point of all of this. That's not like Jay and Shaggy when they started constructing juggalo culture. And I know I'd say that with a little bit of irony because of the fallout with Twisted and all that. But all of that aside, this is the world we're in right now. And the world we're in right now has way too much hate and way too much just vitriol, where people are saying, if someone disagrees with someone, they're saying disgusting things about each other that are unfounded and unnecessary and just obnoxious. It's okay to disagree. It's 100% okay to disagree. If Seth Moon says that Riddlebox is the thematic colors of it are blue and pink, and I know that it's purple and green, you're wrong, I disagree, but I'm not going to be like, you're a moron, Seth, you're so dumb, you don't know nothing, you're a juff. And like, no, just let it go. It's not that big a deal. He just made a mistake on the colors.
There's still some of that, like, in the YouTube realm, but I think luckily you came after the bulk of that, because there was some crazy stuff going on in this
I've heard
YouTube
tale of
realm.
some folks.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. It was a
but
lot.
Still, ultimately, what unifies us should unify us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though some of us disagree on what we want to eat for lunch, that doesn't mean we have to hate each other. Even though we disagree on on even politics, which that shouldn't even be part of the conversation anyway. Why is that even a? Do you remember the rules, Seth? We're not supposed to talk about politics, or you don't ask somebody how old they are, or how much money they make, or what party they're part of.
Yeah.
Remember that? That's supposed to be
I
a
do remember
thing.
this.
Why did we stop doing that? Like, if we have a relationship enough where I say, well, this is actually what I believe, that's out of respect to our relationship. And so that's actually an indication of trust. So don't assume that you know what I believe if I haven't told you what I believe, which I don't tell people what I believe because it's my beliefs, not yours. But yeah, it shouldn't matter if a juggalo is leaning a certain direction politically, or decided that, you know, they don't believe in a hot button issue that somebody else does. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's your personal opinion. We're still juggalos. Let's just jug together. Like, forget about all that. That's outside world stuff. We are in the jug world. Let's just jug.
Yeah. I like that. We're in the jug world. Let's just jug.
Yeah,
So,
man. Put that on a t-shirt.
as we're jugging right now, I got to ask, because obviously, like, you got a lot of catching up to do. Have you listened to all of the Joker's cards?
Oh, so I've listened to the first 6.
Okay.
I've not been such a big fan. I've been kind of popcorning around otherwise, which, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, it's just a song will come up in my playlist and I'll be like, oh, what album's that from? Okay. And then, more often than not, outside of the first 6, and even with the first 6, not all of the albums I'm like, oh my God, that's so good, I can listen to it front to back. There's only 2 of them that are that way for me personally. Other than the first 6, not really, it's not really blowing me away. There's a couple of choice tracks, but otherwise I'm like, it's kind of not into that. But like I said,
Okay.
I carry some pretty heavy opinions with music. I will say this. I don't think ICP without Mikey Clark works. I think ICP with Mikey Clark, that's where the magic happens, like, for real. There's been a couple, and that's cool. You enjoy it. I don't so much, it's all right. And Sam probably better that now I would argue that hard. No. Yeah. I respect give it a chance. I do respect give it a chance, because part of me, for really accepting music, it takes time, and it's I want to listen to a full album from front to back, without as much interruption as possible, because an album to me is a complete thing. So just doing popcorn isn't very respectful of the albums. So I haven't necessarily sat down and listened to every album, track 1 through. And I need to, because that there's a story woven from song to song, and every album has its own purpose. And so to just listen to 1 or 2 tracks out of context kind of breaks the album. So I am going to give it a chance. I am going to give it a chance. Listening to odd songs, haven't there hasn't been a lot that has made me go, oh my God, I have to set aside time. Eventually I will. It's hard to find time, honestly. Like today, I was at work until 4:00 my time. I streamed at 4:30 until 5:30. At 5:30, I sent it over to JR Butcher, and I kind of sat in with him a little bit while I finished some stuff up. And then I was running around getting gravel for the shed that I'm building, up until I needed to come in here. And, like, that's kind of my life right now. I've got one of my kids is graduating high school. Like, I have a lot of stuff going on. and this business takes up a lot of time too. Honestly, it's I feel douchey saying this because it feels so lame, but my Facebook account honestly takes a lot of time too. Like to get the following I have currently took a lot of work, and to maintain it is taking a lot of work, and I'm still growing it. Like I'm not satisfied with it yet. We're still going, baby. We're to the moon. The Precious Juggalos forever and ever. So that takes work, and I have to put that time into it. So when I was in my 20s, I had a lot of time to sit and listen to albums, because then I didn't have kids, I didn't have a wife. If I felt like driving for an hour and listening to music, I could do it. I can't do that right now. I have a lot of responsibilities, but I'll get there.
It's respectful, and when you do get the chance, I think that maybe you'll respect it a little differently, because the second deck it's different. It's way different than the
different.
first. Like like we don't have the Mikey Clark production all the way across till which to be fair, the original six, like, wasn't Mikey Clark.
Yeah, it wasn't all. Yeah.
So and then the new one as well, we got hints of Mikey Clark.
I know, dude.
But
it broke my heart when they said that he because he was supposed to do the whole album, and I was so stoked for that. And Shaggy was obviously stoked for it too, because he was talking about how it's going back to old school ICP, which obviously that's speaking my language. And so then when I should that's another relationship that I have, is the little so this is a personal note from Mikey Clark.
Oh.
So he and I are kind of friends. There's a cat with a butthole stamp that he stamped on there.
That's
so
dope.
He literally reached out to me after I went viral again for the Boogie Woogie Woo pieces that I paint, and he was like, or he commented on it, and he was like, man, I got to get one of these. So I shot him a message, and I was like, dude, if you want one, I will send you one, and it will be special. And so I made a special one for him, and I sent it to him. And so since then, like, we've kind of had a loose correspondence with each other, which is super cool. Another thing I never expected to come out of this. And he even sent me, dude, he sent me a box of just swag, including this note where he sent me like all of his solo work, like just, it was like 6 albums and just a bunch of cool stuff, stickers and I don't, just a lot of stuff where it was just like, holy crap, this guy just sent me his catalog, and it was so neat. And so anyway, like, I kind of knew, I knew some things in his personal life that were going on at the time of putting together the last album. And so then when the announcement came out that he wasn't going to do the full album, I kind of already knew. But it still kind of broke my heart because I was so excited.
Yeah.
But it's very clear which ones are his and which ones aren't. And my very strong personal opinion, the greatest ICP is Mikey Clark ICP. There's just something very special about those 3 guys working together. Is just next level amazing. The creep factor is so much better. I don't know. Mikey Clark just gets it. Yeah, he's a really avant-garde guy. So independently, you wouldn't think that he'd be the perfect guy for ICP, because he's like Beck. Like, his music is very much like old school Beck Hansen. It's just oddball stuff. But him working with the Clowns is just, that's pure magic.
Hell yeah. So I definitely recommend checking out Bang Pow Boom and Mighty Death Pop, like starting there, because those ones are Mikey Clark production. But so what would you say is your like favorite ICP album then?
Oh, Riddlebox. There, yeah. That's where I started. I will always be there. And yeah, Don Chaos, 100%. 100%. Um, the obviously there's the tracks that everybody knows and everybody celebrates, and they're awesome. But when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. And so when I got to the track Old Evil Eye, and it's just it's an Edgar Allan Poe story in an ICP song, that's the moment where my worlds collided, and I was like, okay, this isn't just a couple of just idiots that are just spouting off crap about, dead bodies and killing people. They read and they're reading Edgar Allan Poe. And I don't know if you've read a lot of Poe, but it's the stories themselves, if somebody just gave you the Reader's Digest version, are super cool. Sometimes reading them, they're hard to read because they're written in a very old English kind of way. And so
Yeah.
they're super descriptive and very poetic, and so they move very slow burn. But if you can stay in the pocket with Edgar Allan Poe, my God, that dude was beyond creepy. Um, so yeah, that will forever be my benchmark with Edgar Allan Poe, or I'm sorry, with Insane Clown Posse, is when I hit that track on Riddlebox. And then beyond that, Riddlebox itself is just so I can listen to it from beginning to end, no skips. And that's hard to find. It's hard to find even from the greatest artists of all time. It's hard to find a complete album that you can listen to and enjoy all the way through. And that's Riddlebox for me.
I'm always looking for that. Like I'm an albums guy,
Me too.
and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something I can listen to like cohesively. Like I'm a mixtape guy as well. Like you brought that up, like the very beginning that you used to do the mix CDs and shit. I still make mixtapes. I had like a mixtape series I used to do every year. You
That's
know,
awesome.
yeah, we got the Carnival Spirits one coming up, which has been in the works for a decade. um, but yeah, I don't remember how I got on that tangent. I found myself lost. But ICP, yeah. I man, where the fuck was I?
It started with favorite album.
Yeah, it started with favorite album. Well, here we go. So what album last year that dropped was like your favorite album of the year? Like for both, let's do both Juggalo culture and outside of Juggalo culture.
So here's kind of my problem with that is um because I'm playing so much catch up, there's a lot of older albums that to me just dropped last year. But man,
It's just something Juggalo you heard last year for the first time. And you're like, that album was fresh.
well, okay, well, so I would say like Clockworky's Rent a Friend is such a great album. And what I appreciate about Clockworky is like their albums independently are so different from each other and yet the same. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
they really make concept albums while still maintaining their own characterization of Clockworky. You know what I mean? Like Poopy Butthole stuff is still just going to be part of it, but there's still like an underlying theme of each album that is just different. But Rent a Friend, I like it. I like it a lot because it's kind of thematically the same of what I'm doing, where it's like a juxtaposition of two things, where they're trying to present this very cleaned up. I mean, the dudes in sweaters,
Yeah.
looking like something very good and proper, but then you listen to the album and it's everything improper. And it's just a funny juxtaposition of a thing. Plus they're just generally awesome. Like I really enjoy their style and their humor. And then non-jug, oh god. So what I hate is I don't get to listen to as much as I used to. Man. Hold on. Let me
Oh, you're
cheat a
good.
little bit here. Let me get into
Go
my
ahead and
Spotify.
cheat.
Chromacopia.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I'm a big Tyler the Creator fan. Again, I may not look like I would be, but I really am. I've enjoyed him since Odd Future. I mean since his Adult Swim days. That's what actually introduced me to them. Was
Loiter Squad.
Loiter Squad, yeah. Because obviously, being my age, I'm a Jackass fan. So then when Jackass morphed into Loiter Squad, and it's basically the same thing, sort of, but more hip hop and less like Skate World, which also has a lot of parallels. Yeah, I fell in love with that, and then obviously Tyler the Creator is a juggernaut, dude. Like that guy's so creative and just kills it. And Chromacopia is a whole different world of creation.
Yeah.
I missed the tour. I wish I could have seen that, because all the videos I've seen are just phenomenal from that experience. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I definitely, I really got into Chromacopia, and I've been a fan of Tyler since the beginning as well. I loved like all the old Odd Future stuff where they're just being like loud and
Just
obnoxious,
chaos,
and
just yelling.
oh
Yeah, dude.
And then
Yeah.
I would watch videos of their shows, and I'm like, yo,
yeah,
like,
I know. Yeah, where they're it's chaos, 100% chaos.
Yeah,
Just
like
pure chaos.
I'm upset I missed like that era. Like I was watching it online, but I didn't get
Yeah.
to partake. And
Yeah.
man, that was such a special, like you could tell, like being on the outside looking in, like that's something different,
Yeah. Yeah, and that always resonates with me, is because it's so hard to be different, because everything's been done. There's nothing original. There's such a difficulty of standing out. So when it does happen, that's lightning in a bottle, and that's Loiter Squad. Yeah.
I'm always looking for that, like something different. Like that's the punk in me. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
looking
dude,
for that.
then check out Castle Rat for real.
Cool.
Circling back to that, going into that show, I fully expected to just be like, let's get this over with and get into Amon Amarth. But by the end of their set, I was so sold on them. It's such a cool vibe. It's such a just experience.
Hell yeah. I've definitely got that noted. Like probably as soon as we get off of here, like I'll go check it out. Cause like I said, I'm always looking for like something just different, like,
oh, they're different.
like different, like I dabble every little nook and cranny. Like I was really big into Nintendo Core, like I was really big into that stuff, right now, like Necro Trap, that's what the kids are into. That's a whole new genre that came out of like trap metal. like take like trap metal and distort it a bit and just go really over the top, and you got necro trap.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it literally, it's about what you would kind of expect. That it's also like some people call it like torture core.
Dead Body Man is awesome. Ben's right. Have
Hell
you ever
yeah.
listened to I Set My Friends on Fire?
Yes.
Okay. I was hoping you
Yes,
had.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got into all sorts of I wrestled a bear once, like
Yeah.
the original lineup. Like, yeah.
They played my place.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of, this is old school, that's stupid, but early mid 2000s. Did you ever listen to oh my god, I can't remember anything. Sometimes I get like this. Fear Before the March of Flames out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Dude. So I had a I had a music label, small, nothing special.
Which, real quick, it's so random for you to be bringing up some of these names. Like, just like, this is stuff that I have not heard in years, and you're
this was
saying it.
my
I'm like,
life. That
yeah,
when I was working in the industry, this was my life. So much so that I almost signed Fear Before the March of Flames.
refresh.
Before they signed with oh who um oh god dang it. Anyway, whatever. Before they signed to, it wasn't a major, but it was Equal
Yeah.
Vision. Before they signed to Equal Vision, I almost signed them. And the only reason why I didn't was, like, when I proposed it to them, it was at the same, like, after Equal Vision had approached them. So obviously I couldn't compete. But if I would have come to them like just a couple months earlier, 100% they would have been my band, which my whole life would have pivoted at that point. Which, by the way, I also learned something, if I would have known it then, what I know now. Because they had signed to Equal Vision, what I could have done at that time with my label is I could have signed them for their vinyl rights specifically, and I could have been their vinyl label. Wish I would have known that, because I would have done that, and that would have changed my life, and I probably would have been doing that. I would have had a full-time record label gig, and I probably would be doing vinyl with all kinds of the raddest hardcore bands, probably still selling it today.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours, so I guess, you have any shout outs or anything like that?
Well, I mean, we'll circle back to Don Chaos, because he introduced you to me, and he introduced me to a lot of this. So definitely shout out Don Chaos and to 9 years. Congrats on that. I would also shout out, like Ben Tramer in the chat, Josh in the chat, are a couple of dudes that have been super supportive for a long time. Ben has actually been Ben has been the catalyst in a lot of things that I have stepped out on a limb for, like like painting all the Precious Moments clowns as the first deck was because of him. Painting Labubus was because of him. He has created a lot of really cool, by commissioning me to do things. He has created a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have, like chances I wouldn't have taken otherwise. And I'll be forever grateful for that. And he's just, like I said, he just has been such a great supporter. Ronnie in the chat is Ronnie the Mod God. Even though you see him modding for so many channels now, guess whose channel he started on? This guy.
Ooh,
He's still
fresh.
he is a huge part of Precious Juggalos. Even though he'll probably Canadianly deny that, he very much is. He's in a lot of ways, he's the backbone of what we do with streaming. And so I can't thank him enough for that too. Also shout out to JR Butcher Pete. he's not in the chat right now, but that's probably because he's in bed. He's not the first guy to come into my streams, but he's the second guy. The first guy kind of turned out to not be a great guy. The second guy, though, is one of my best friends. Absolutely a brother. He is the reason why I stay with Camp AAB at the Gathering. He has introduced me to so many great people like EC Juggalo. I don't know if he's still in the chat. Shout out to him too, because he's just a rad guy, super positive, and he's everything that I think Juggalo culture needs to celebrate. But yeah, there are very special people that have come into my life at very pivotal times that at the time neither of us knew that it was so important, but it has astronomically changed the trajectory of Precious Juggalos. And it's because of guys like EC in the chat. And how do you say thank you for that other than just saying thank you? Like, I would not have the success I do without just cool juggalos that have supported me throughout all of this. And there's also celebrities that have come through, like a Black Bunny of Thought Squad is actually a Precious Juggalo. She's a huge fan. And that has created some cool opportunities for me too. And so shout out to her. I don't know. Oh man, another one. There's an actual art curator, a professional curator of fine art that curates me, that took me under his wing and explained to me what being a professional artist means and looks like. And without him, I wouldn't be what I am today. I would still just be a goofball, but I take it serious because of what he explained to me and the behaviors I need to have to be not just successful, but to be professional. And I want to be that. So shout out to him. Our favorite art collector in Arizona is what we call him because, keep his privacy private. But he has been another muse that has he's bought a lot of pieces from me, and he actually he gave me one of the greatest gifts ever, Seth, and you'll appreciate this. And this was like out of the blue. I came home one day to a box on my porch that was huge, and I opened it, and inside was this very beautifully framed Bad Brains poster. And I was like, well, that's cool. I like the Bad Brains. That's rad. And then I noticed there's some signatures at the bottom. It's all the original members of Bad Brains signed this poster. But then I noticed there was an extra signature. Shepard Fairey, the designer of the poster, a huge name in design. Remember the iconic Obama poster? Like the like tritone, really cool Obama poster? That's a Shepard Fairey. Like
oh dang,
he is an incredible juggernaut in the art world. Especially in like the graffiti art world. And it's his poster design, and he signed it too. And that was a gift from my favorite art collector in Arizona. And that was so humbling and so incredible because he and I had talked about our mutual love for hardcore music, and kind of like you and I have talked about, Seth, about like the outliers, the strange, the unusual art in general. And he just took it upon himself to give me the greatest piece of art that he could. And he gave it to me to hang in my shed, in my studio once it's done. And that's going to be the focal point of my studio because it is so incredible. And I never expected anything like that to ever come from me screwing around and painting something so stupid.
Yeah.
But that is truly the magic of the carnival, and I'm here for it, and I am trying to give as much of that back as I can.
No, I think you're a prime example of how this carnival presents itself to people and just sucks you in, and next
Yeah.
thing you know, you feel better.
Yeah.
Like something about it, it gives you, you got all this crazy hatchet wielding, bigot killing, craziness going on with these clowns, but something about it
You get a
brings
suffer
us.
flower on your chair,
Yeah. Shout out to Darby.
Yeah, Darby O'Trill. Yeah.
That's my homie for life right there. But it's cool how, just randomly seeing like someone doing that nativity set got you here. You saw that, sat on it, just kind of was back in the back of your brain, and the next thing you know, here you are painting that first piece, and now you got an award, and it's just amazing. Like, I really enjoyed hearing your story, and thank you for sharing it with us. Like, this has been an amazing episode.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, man.
Of course. And shout out to everyone that's been kicking it with us in the chat. Y'all are the shit. We got Bent Rammer. Love that name. Panda the Torture Clown. I actually just randomly saw your stream, I think yesterday, Panda. Like, you're doing some like some stuff with like body jewelry or something, like, putting needles in you or something. Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Yeah.
Shout out to you. I saw some of that stuff going on, I think, yesterday. It looked like you had like thousands of viewers too. Shout out to Ronnie. Shout out to Don Chaos, of course, EC Juggalo, everyone that's been kicking it, Charles Reeves. Y'all are the shit. We appreciate you so much. I'll be back on Sunday with Beastmaster for every Sunday afternoon. This week, we're going to be celebrating Star Wars a little bit because, it's going to be May the 3rd. May the 4th is right around the corner. And Beastmaster's got some freshness. He's getting ready to drop his homies. How do you say that? Post, like after they die. Like what's the word? Post.
Like memorial.
Yeah, like he's dropping one of his albums. The homie Beastmaster, who is my cohort. Post hormone. I can't say the fucking word.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's got an album dropping. It's called May the 4th Be With You. Awesome. That's Twiz. And so we're gonna be celebrating that. But and next Sunday, or this Sunday, we'll be announcing who I'll be having next Wednesday. But thank you all for tuning in. Y'all are the shit. I'm Seth Moon, Shovel of Precious Juggalos. One last time, thank you very much. And we out of here. Much love. Whoop, whoop, y'all.